Michael gets a makeover. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Halloween 2018 reissue Ultimate Michael Myers. It's been 40 years since Laurie Strode survived a vicious attack from crazed killer Michael Myers on Halloween night. Now she faces a terrifying showdown when Michael returns to Haddonfield, Illinois. But this time, Laurie is ready for him. Figure includes knife, hammer, fire, poker, tombstone, victim head, light-up pumpkin, and interchangeable head and hands. You know, now that I finally got my hands on the reissue Michael Myers from the 2018 Halloween film, you could say that things are shaping up rather nicely for my collection shelf. You could say. Many people probably choose not to with a joke that horrible. Not a good way really to start the review by dropping something so terrible like that. Anyways, though, let's grab the tape measure just to see how tall the figure stands. And don't worry, we will be doing comparisons of other figures in a second of the Michael Myers variety. Clickety-click right to the very top of Michael Myers' head. The figure stands just short of 7 inches in height, or the figure's roughly about 17.5 centimeters tall. Considering, after all, this is a reissue Michael Myers from the one we got before, I'm sure you guys will want to see what that earlier Michael Myers looked like next to this newer one, and I hope you guys are sitting down because the comparisons are quite extreme. Let's bring the figure in right now. I went for a dramatic pause. I don't know how successful that was. You can see definitely there's a big difference. Not only is it a differently painted figure, but it looks like they've retooled a brand new head sculpt. The head is notably a lot larger on the reissue than what we got before. And also, seeing as I did have a little bit of space over here, might as well also bring in a Michael Myers too from the Halloween Kills line. I'm sure also it goes to say that we probably are going to be getting ourselves a Halloween Ends Michael Myers at some point. And we'll see how further decayed his mask is and how much more ridiculous the movie gets. But anyways, you can see just how different the reissue is to the one that we got before. It's definitely worth investing into if you ever have the chance to find the reissue for yourselves. Now, I'd like to think not only am I the person behind the camera showing you guys what these figures look like, but I can also maybe steer you in the right direction if you're looking to get this Michael Myers for yourself. Obviously, the struggle of getting a figure like this is you would have to see in person what it looks like so that you're not buying old stock of the figure. Buying it locally would be probably the smartest bet, because instantly you open up the front flap of the box and know right away it's the reissue Michael Myers and not just simply old stock that the store is trying to sell. Ordering online can probably be the hardest, simply just because, again, for all the things mentioned already, you never really know if the site is just clearing out old stock. One way to work around that is try to buy a figure right away as soon as you see the site has restocked it, which is exactly what I did over on Entertainment Earth. That's the whole reasoning why I haven't had the chance yet to have a look at the reissue Michael Myers, simply just waiting it out, hoping I could see a time and opportunity available where I could get the figure right away as soon as it came off the truck. Sure enough, Entertainment Earth, I'll provide the link down below in the video description, literally just stocked this figure, I think about a week or so ago, about a week and a half ago. I ordered it right away, got it right away, and was happy to see that it was the reissue. Again, I'll provide the link down below in the video description if you guys are interested to pick it up for yourself. But I'm going to do one better to that. I'm going to bring in also the packaging that came included with these figures. And not that you'd really be able to tell simply just by the front of the packaging, although I have to say, like, this one here seems slightly a little bit more browner. It could just be my eyes playing tricks on me. The other thing that is well to note on these is the barcode is going to be exactly the same. 606872. So don't be looking at that. That's not going to change. However, though, this is the new box, and I'm going to just bring in, and you can see right away there's a difference in product code. The originally released Michael Myers was 93N080918. The reissue is 93N061021. That's the big thing that you really want to be looking for. So if you are buying this from a seller, say on eBay, or you're buying it from a store online, you can ask them for the product code, and that'll tell you right away. If the ending digits are 1021, then you're in luck. If you're buying one that has ending digits 0918, then you're sadly going to be buying old stock, old inventory of Michael Myers we got before. On to now the figure's accessories, and we will be doing comparisons back and forth between this one and the original Myers, so you can see the difference between the two. Starting first, let's have a look at the Tombstone. Once again, you do get yourself the Tombstone inside. Our beloved daughter, Judith Myers, born November 10th, 1947, once again died October 31st, 1963. It's all done here in plastic. It's in fact actually hollow on the bottom of it, and a decently detailed tombstone. Just reaching off and bringing in the other one. This was the originally released, again, Michael Myers. You can see definitely, first of all, the coloring of the letters etched into the plastic is much darker here in the reissue. Although I will say, like, the stonework, just by the way the plastic was actually made here, actually does look a little bit more like stone than this one right here. This one looks a little bit more plasticky to me. If you could only just Frankenstein the two things together, maybe take the darker lettering and bring it over to this one, I think you'd actually get a nicer looking tombstone from actually the originally released Myers, not the one that we get right here. It's still a nice looking tombstone. It certainly, to the better of your eyes, it's a little clearer and easier to make out the wording. But again, I feel like this one actually handles things a little bit better. And there's actually, it seems like a little chip also right next to Born. You can see it's nowhere to be found here on the original tombstone. A difference again between the two. Let's have a look at the pumpkins. This is the pumpkin that comes included again with this version of Michael Myers. This is the one that we got originally before. Not much does get changed, although you have to see that the plastic on the pumpkin seems shinier on the reissue than it does on the original. In both the cases, they do have battery compartments. Luckily, at least for the purpose of this review, timing was good that the batteries have not yet drained on this one. Simply just hit the switch on the top and it starts to flicker. NECA was using flickering lights. Another company that made pumpkins for Michael Myers, take notice. This one, again, works the same way. You just hit the top, and it flickers as well. I could perhaps say that the coloring on the actual lamp bulb seemed a little bit darker of a yellow. But again, is it maybe me just trying to find differences between the two? It could literally be the exact same bulb. But in both the cases, they do flicker. I do think like the plastic in this case looks a lot nicer painted on the reissue. Still, the original one was fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. But I do think like paint definitely has been improved, at least with the jack-o'-lanterns. I'm going to switch those off. Put those to the side. The next thing we'll have a look at is the severed head of Officer Francis. And again, we're just going to reach off, bring in the other one here as well. I think like the difference between the blood smearing and all the parts, the maiming of his skin, there's a better contrast, I think, between the lighter colors that they ended up using here and then the more darker plum purples that they've used for the face. This actually seems more just a blending of all of it. I don't think you'd be wrong either way to get either one of these heads and have them on display, just to show you what the severed stump looks like. Still, there's a missed opportunity, I think, that the hole goes as far up as it does, and they couldn't have included a secondary bulb or something that you could fit on top of this. Even something, I mean, if you look at the mechanics here of just the, well, it'd be a fairly large chip. I mean, you could kind of put it over top, but not enough that you're going to be able to see really much of a light source. No, Francis's eyes are still dark and black. But yeah, when you're looking at the faces, the only thing I can really see difference between the two, and also I guess the original one also had a little bit more white in the hair, is that the skin seems notably a little separate of a color than the color of the purple that they end up using. The purple also seems a little bit darker also in the face. Oops, I almost dropped off. Hot potato. I almost dropped Officer Francis's head. So I'm going to again move those to the side. Figure also comes included with a knife. Nice painted knife done here in silver. Again, you got the handle done here in black. Even the little riveted points. I always appreciate the fact that NECA can take the time and add those little dollops of paint in there. That shows quality craftsmanship. Speaking of quality craftsmanship, again, we're going to reach off to the side. Difference of the two knives. First of all, the handle on the reissue seems darker and black. Also, the blades, too, seem a little bit more shinier. I see more brush strokes also in the original issued knife. Doesn't seem to be as much the case when we have a look at the knife that comes included with this version of Michael Myers. It also seems, too, like the blade is different. Really? Really? The blade is different. Looking at them right now, I'm just going to hold them up. Does it not seem like the blades are shaped differently? Again, it could simply just be me looking at it and trying to see differences between them. Differences probably aren't going to be as common here when it comes to the accessories. They're certainly going to be a lot more common when we have a look at the head sculpts for Michael Myers. I couldn't believe how different the heads are. Hammer-wise, it's hammer time. Hammers look also to be identical. I mean, you could look at one bit of blood on one and say, okay, well, the blood's a little bit in a different place, but these are hand painted. So I would imagine that the blood is probably going to be changing a little bit of different locations on the tops of the head of the hammer. But other than that, it looks like the actual handles are somewhat the same. In this case, I would have to be careful I don't misplace which one goes with which figure, but it doesn't really matter. There's a wood grain, I think, a little bit more obvious on the handle here, a little less obvious on the other, but again, doesn't really matter too much. Then he gets also included the fire poker, and just one last time to bring in another accessory here. The fire poker seemed more silver on the original version of Myers. Seems a little bit more of a darker gunmetal gray here on the new version. Again, they're both made of a very soft plastic. And again, we'll put those to the side. I want to make sure I'm kind of piling these appropriately so I don't have the wrong accessories with the wrong figures. Let's have a look at the accessories hand-wise that come included with Michael Myers. He comes, first of all, with a couple of different, just fanned-out hands, one of which has the blown-off fingers. Did I actually have the other Michael Myers? I'm just looking here. I did. So I'm going to bring in the other Myers right now so you can see. The blood seems definitely darker, at least on the two blown-off hand comparisons. I think like the blood actually looks nicer on the newer one, but because they use the darker red in some of the areas of the fingers, it actually looks a little bit more easier to make out the wound of Michael's hand. What a horrible way to have his fingers blown off. Again, we're going to look at this one right here, the relaxed hand, comparing the two. Skin tone seems a little bit better on this hand than it does on this hand here. And then Michael has a couple of gripping hands also as well. And just in case you guys were curious, let's bring in hand for hand. Is this hand for hand? It's not quite hand for hand. It almost looks, I would even say, if you could tell me right now, okay, you have to tell us the difference between the two. I would almost even say like the older hands almost have a little more of a waxier film to the way they've painted them. But that's about it. That's about it. On to Michael Myers, which obviously is the main reason why I'm sure you guys will be watching these videos, and also I hope it would be somewhat the charm of the person behind the camera as well. Awkward silence. Well, let's have a look at the accessories that come included with Michael Myers. So head-wise, I guess we kind of move away from all the things he comes included with. Let's look at the heads. So obviously, first of all, let's bring in the two. I'm going to bring in this Michael Myers. I'm going to bring in this head sculpt. They're not technically of the same head. I mean, I guess the better comparison would be to make is I'm going to put down this one here. I'm going to pick this one up right here. I did change the heads out. That's why I was scammering a bit right now to try to find the proper head sculpt. This is the reissue, right? This is the original one. And why I have this one separate is because the one that has the darkened eyes is currently on the socket of his neck. So that's why I have actually this one loose, and this one here is on his head currently, because I am going to be swapping this out eventually. Now, you do have the one dead eye on the one side, but in this case, actually in both the cases, you can actually make out Michael Myers' eyes on the inside of the sockets. That's going to change when we swap out the head in a second. The thing about the head, actually, you know what, I'm going to pop this head completely off the ball peg. Put a decapitated Michael head right there, or the body at least right there. And I want to show you the difference in size between the two. No, don't adjust your monitor. The size is correct. They have increased the size and changed the mold of the Michael Myers head. The other one certainly was a little bit more whiter. I mean, that's one thing I think I like a little bit more about the original release one, that this one here has a more refined look to the sculpting, but I think it almost comes across slightly a little more muddier. If they had found a way just maybe add slightly lighter areas of the white in there as well, but I do think it's definitely a superior head sculpt. Why they changed the head and made it longer, I'm not really too sure, other than the fact of maybe film accuracy. The head on this one was just way too small to fit the body. Just to see what it looks like from the side, it still has the needle hole on the side of his neck. The ears also seem notably bigger, as well as his hair, too. Spin around to the back so you can see. Okay. The other head sculpt he comes also included with as well, I'm going to hold this one for the time being, is also really the same head sculpt other than the fact it's got slightly darker eyes. You could start nickel and diming and seeing what the differences between the two would really be. I don't think sculpt-wise much does get changed. I mean, it almost even looks like this head sculpt is slightly smaller than this one right here. The big thing I would take away from this is the one that this one does have the darker eyes. And I think why I lean more to the idea of actually displaying him with this one, and probably the same reason why I ended up displaying Michael with the same similar dark eyes. I'm going to change out the head, and then we'll do the comparisons between the two, once again, with the one that we've got right there. To put the head back on, by the way, you've got a very small hole to work with, and a long post to put that on top of. I'm going to put that and just fit it on top of the neck. It may involve a little bit of twisting to finally get it onto the ball peg. I didn't have so much the issue before. Get it right onto the ball joint here. Surprise, it actually took me as much effort as it did to finally get the head back onto the post, as I had already done it a couple of times before hitting and record, but nonetheless. Anyways, we've got now the head sculpt on the neck that actually has the darkened eyes, and again, you can see the difference between the two. This would have been the darker eyes replaced on the original Michael Myers. This is the darker eyes now on this Michael Myers. Head sculpt is definitely differently shaped. You know, again, like from a sculpt standpoint, kind of like this one. And maybe it just has something to do with the fact that there's a little bit more white added to the face. I think sculpt-wise, I mean, like to look at it from the front, again, like you got the more refined features. The sculpting doesn't seem as stark on this one. But I think like the white almost works a little bit better on this head sculpt here. But I think I like the bigger head on this Michael Myers, though, anyways. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like from the side. They definitely have sculpted the hair differently. You can see there's a few little tufts of hair that stick out the back, whereas this one actually is a little bit more closer to his head. I guess really the original 2018 Michael Myers more had kind of straw-like hair anyways, so maybe this fits it a little bit better. Even though I do think like the paint is handled better on this one, just because it doesn't look as pasty, I do wish again that they could have taken a little bit more of the white from this one and brought it over to here. Body-wise though, just to compare the two Michael Myers, first of all, the bodies seem to be the same, so they haven't changed anything, at least from that department. One thing they have certainly done, though, is they've made the plastic a lot less shinier. The original Myers would have had a more shinier blue plastic. They've actually made it more of a matte finish here for the reissue release. And again, we just spin around to the back. Michael Myers is still experiencing quite a flat behind. Nothing has changed, at least in that department. Sculpting, though, appears to be identical between the two. It's just, again, a matter of preference than anything else. I am just curious, though. Maybe I won't. I was going to say take the head off this one, replace the two, but essentially it would just be the same body anyways. It does have the one bullet hole up to the top corner there, and it does have still the blue undershirt underneath it. I'm honestly kind of torn because just to look at it, I'm going to put them down here on my backdrop here and just sort of step back here for a second and look at them. Like, I feel like that one's way too white. If they could have just toned the white down just a little bit, it comes across a little too pasty and certainly a little too shinier. But I almost feel like in this sense, like the head sculpt is good on this one, but I feel it's almost a little too gray, if that makes any sense at all. Certainly, again, when you're looking at the bodies, they're going to be exactly the same. Boots are also something that still is the same. I mean, it doesn't look like they've actually changed the boots at all. It looks perhaps like they may have actually made the leg a little bit longer. But again, it could be maybe me just looking at it and trying to find a difference between the two. Just to adjust the leg, yeah, I think the legs are exactly the same between the two. Articulation here on the Michael Myers would have retained all the same from the one we looked at earlier. Head is again on that ball post, so it does rotate back and forth. It does look down, and it does look up. And of course, you can also rock it back and forth as well. Shoulders do come out. I wouldn't say comfortably at a 90-degree angle bend, but a little bit less than that. You can take, of course, the arm and rotate it all the way around. Figure has, in this case, a double hinge on the elbow. There's one there, and there's one right there. You can bend it there and also bend it there. So he's got a double hinge on the elbow. Hands rotate also back and forth just on a singular post. The upper torso is on an encased, overlaid rubber suit. So basically, like, there's articulation somewhere underneath all that. But again, it's it's encased in a rubber oversuit. And of course, that comes all the way down to, again, like that rubbery, people have called it diapers. It's part that basically covers over the joint. Problems with sometimes figures like this, you can already see right there. The moment I start to move the leg, I always have to kind of go in and pull this back out, because the leg, sometimes this little bit of plastic from the lower, okay, we'll call it diapers, the little bit of the diapers actually end up tucking into the top of the thigh, and I always have to end up fixing it. But anyways, the legs go forward, legs go back. It's a single hinge on the knee, rotation in the lower leg. And then when it comes to his feet, not only does he have the ankle pivot, but yeah, technically you could rotate the feet all the way around. And there's also a little bit of foot positioning up and down that way as well. One last time, once again, we'll just put the reissue Michael Myers dead center in the middle there. We'll bring in the original Michael Myers. And again, just because we had available space on the side of it, we can also bring in the Halloween Kills Michael Myers. Still torn, because again, like looking at this, there's things again they have improved upon. Maybe making the head a little bit bigger was probably a better idea. But again, I think maybe with the reissue, one of the biggest problems with the reissue is that there's not a lot of color separating in the mask. At least to the benefit of this one, it did have a lot of white. Granted, it had a lot of yellow in there as well, which I thought was really unnecessary for the paint. I like this one for having more white. I do like this one for, I think, having a better head sculpt and maybe better proportion to the rest of his body. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments section which actually made for a better 2018 Michael Myers. The reissue that we looked at in this video, or the original Michael Myers, the one we looked at before. Let me know down below. Usually the format for these videos is we talk a little bit about the figure and then we jump right to final looks. Final looks not only is a way to wrap up the video, but also gives me the chance to add anything I may have missed over the course of the video. I can tack it on to the very end. It's literally the final looks of the figure before the video ends. I did something differently though for the reissue Michael Myers. Instead of going right from the video, right from the review to the final looks of the figure, I actually took a break. Much longer break, and about an hour and a half break. I went upstairs. I actually put both the Michael Myers, the original one, and the reissue on my shelf with the rest of my NECA figures. And I went upstairs for about an hour and a half and I did other things. Completely cleared my mind. Came back downstairs and I had a look at the figures again on my shelf. And based on that, this is where we're going to go with the final looks of Michael Myers, the reissue. In final looks, I would say between the two Michael Myers, I think I actually still like the original one more from movie accuracy. Kind of went also online and I checked a few clips of the original 2018 Michael Myers, just him moving around. And just like the proportions of his head to the rest of his body, I think the original Michael Myers that NECA had put out handles the figure better, at least from film accuracy. Also, the whiter color of his mask, I think, helps with that too. This Michael Myers, though, while it doesn't have as much the film accuracy, at least in my own honest opinion, I think it actually makes for a better looking Myers figure. I mean, just to look at it, and even not even attaching it necessarily to the 2018 release, I think you're actually getting a nicer looking Michael Myers. It actually kind of looks a little bit more like the retro cloth 2018 Michael Myers, which I should, in retrospect, I should have actually even brought that back in and done the proper comparison with that and the retro cloth release. But I think it's actually a better looking Michael Myers, but I think the original one looks more like the movie. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? Certainly let me know down below in the comment section once again, which was the better figure that NECA did put out. Because there has been changes to this. It's not simply just cosmetic. They've literally gone in and retooled a brand new head for the 2018 Michael Myers. So picking this one up, you'll notice right away, it's not the same Michael that you may already have had in your collection all this time. Again, if you are interested to pick this one up for yourself, I had provided the product code for both of the boxes in the video. So use those. If, again, you're buying this from a seller online, just ask for the product code of the Michael Myers. And providing it does have the newer released product code, then you should be in luck. Somebody's not going to be selling you the older stocked Michaels. Again, also, an easier way, too, is I'll provide the link down below in the video description to Entertainment Earth, where I literally just picked this up like last week. That's how fast Entertainment Earth is when it comes to shipping. I ordered it last week, and it arrived right away. But again, like they have just literally restocked the figure. So that's your best bet if you're looking to get a new version of Michael Myers. Even if you were happy with the original one, I think you might actually be happy with this one also as well. Again, I'll provide the link down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, why not hit it with a like? If you're loving the content that you guys have been seeing here, especially for the fact that we went back, fittingly enough too, because we just got the trailer for Halloween Ends. It's not really even so much of a trailer. It was just a teaser. Laurie and Michael are battling and her hands going into garbage disposal. Like, is that a trailer? That's a teaser. Anyways, fitting enough that we just saw the trailer, and sure enough, I'm having a look at a reissue Michael Myers. But if you enjoyed the video, yeah, again, hit it with a like. If you're loving the content that you guys are seeing here, make sure, if you haven't already done so, that you hit the subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notification so you're going to get reminders every single time a new video pops up. And if you guys are interested to check out more from NECA, there is also going to be a playlist popping up at the very end of this video. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.